So I'm going to show you how to make a recipe today, and it is not frugal. It's not fast, but you know what it is? It's really good for selling. And let me explain that to you for a second. It's Kate from Venison for dinner, and let me show you how to make these overnight cinnamon twists. You're going to love them. Growing up, there was a very popular Saturday market that people would bring their jewelry and woodworking and baking and vegetables to, and this was like people traveled to see this Saturday market. It was not your average farmer's market. It was huge. So my sister wanted to sell something at this market, and my mom looked up in, I think it was an old Harrowsmith book. Do you guys remember what Harrowsmith is? Maybe that was a regional thing. I don't know. That there was these cinnamon twists, and you make the dough the night before, and in the morning you roll them out, fold them, twist them, bake them. And they always sold so good. And once my sister was done doing that, I picked it up and I would do it at the market. And you sold out so fast. And then when our oldest Mac was, Rowan was a baby, so was he 9 or 10? He went to a children's market and he sold them, and they sold out so fast. So I know a lot of you are crafty people. You're going to markets, maybe you have a farm stand, maybe you just like have weekly or bi-weekly baking that you sell. This is an excellent item to add to your roster, so I'm excited to show it to you. Start with a little bit of warm water and yeast and mixing them together so that the yeast can, dissolve and do its thing. So I have this sour cream that is actually a little too sour and we would not actually want to just eat. So it's perfect for baking. I've got my water and my yeast doing its thing in here. I got the butter melting, and I'm gonna grab some eggs.
And we're making...
And yes, Rowan and Marius are making souvlaki for dinner.
Oh, I'm actually, I sent them for onions, and apparently those are only 2.
Red onion. You could absolutely do this with a mixer, but I'm just using a Danish dough whisk because I actually really enjoy mixing things by hand when I have the time and the strength, so I'm doing it. The biggest mistake people make when making these is not reading the instructions and putting the sugar and the cinnamon in the dough. If you do that, you will still get a decent end product. You will just not get quite what we're after. So make sure you do not add the sugar and the cinnamon to the dough. There is no sugar in this dough. It is a very rich dough. Sour cream, eggs, butter, no sugar. Dough doesn't need to be kneaded, just mixed together well. And then I'm going to cover it and actually put it in the fridge because it's only 4 in the afternoon right now, and I needed to get this mixed up because we got a lot going on later this evening. But I won't be making these till tomorrow morning. So just mix it together till it makes a cohesive dough. And there we go. This makes 18. So if you need more than 18, make sure you double it. I just want to show you that this dough, first of all, it's very greasy, but it shouldn't be sticky. Even though it's not your standard bread dough consistency, it shouldn't stick to your fingers. Just make your fingers very greasy.
Bubblegum in the dish. How many do you wish? 1, 2, 3, and you are not it.
So my dough has been sitting and it's time to proceed. If you were going to a market, you would have made the dough the night before and you'd be doing this early squirrely in the morning before you were heading out to the market. or maybe late at night if you're going really early squirrely to the market. But either way, here's what we do next. I don't always need to flour the counter, but I did today. My father-in-law made me this rolling pin out of purple heartwood on his lathe or his lathe, however you want to say it, and I love it. I've got a bowl of cinnamon and sugar here. I'm going to turn the oven on quick so that it's ready when we need it. And now here's the part that's a little confusing to tell. It makes the most sense if I just show you. So let me show you. So the dough is about 2 feet long and 18 inches this way. And we have our cinnamon sugar that I haven't fully mixed yet. And we're going to put it down the middle third part of this. And then like a letter, we're going to fold it. And try to really make these kind of match well. Otherwise, you end up with catterwampus edges. And then we take this, throw this bit of flour there. And we're going to roll it. Some sugar's going to come out, but it's okay. I'll show you what we do with that later. Now, because you want to get a full 18 out of this so that, well, you know how many you're getting, and also you know for pricing if you're selling them. I recommend using a tape measure. Because you need to be at least 18 inches. So the very widest part right now is 19 inches, but really these edges are going to be trimmed. They're not as nice. So of the usable part, we're only at about 16, 17 inches. So we need to get longer. Okay, let's try this again. Okay, now we have 18. Now you can get real particular here if you want them to all be even size. And if you were bringing them to market, you really do want them to be even size. But I'm just going to estimate. We want them to be between 3/4 and 1 inch in size. Another easy way to do that, how my mom taught my sister and I to do it, was to lay a butter knife and to do it like this, to use that as your guide. I don't need to do that anymore, but that's how we learned when we were kids. My boys were like, hey mom, it would be cool if you sped this up so that it was like fast motion slicing. So I indulged them. Okay, so the last two are probably, they're definitely not sale ones, but we have 2, 4, 6, 8, 10, 12, 14, 15. How did I only end up with 15? Because I didn't actually use my measuring, but there you go. That's why you need to measure if you want to end up with the full 18. Okay, and then here's the other part that's hard to explain. But easy to show. So I twist them over top of here so that extra cinnamon sugar ends up on the counter and on the other ones and not on the tray for now. And I'll show you why this is later. So we pick it up on either end and we twist in opposite directions until we have this nice twist. You can do it more twists, as many twists as you want, but I like kind of a loose twist. And then make sure both the ends are down on there. Make sure you put them on nice and straight because they're gonna bake in the shape you lay them. Other thing you can do if you were making them, we're crooked. If you were making them for more like a party, these are pretty big to be in if you were serving a bunch of people, right? Like these are a really big one. So you could do it when you do the point where you do fold it like a letter. Instead, do it skinnier and a lot longer and then fold like a letter and make it not as wide and a lot longer, and then make mini twists. And that's really fun. I've done that for potlucks and such. If when you go to work your dough, it is too stiff or whatever because it maybe got too cold, like I did it the other day in our porch fridge. Oh, this one started to rip. I got to mend it a bit. I did it in our porch fridge the other day, and it was too cold, so then my dough was too hard to work. So realistically, I should have let the dough come to room temperature before trying, because it just became too hard to handle. Somehow I did it that they don't all fit on these trays. They always fit on this mini trays.
It's always when you're trying to show something off that it doesn't
Yes,
work.
it's always when you're trying to show something off that it doesn't work. This is actually my second time at videoing it, because last time I messed up. I've been making these my entire life, and I go to make them, and yeah. So this one is not really many layers folded over. So our options here, what I'm actually going to do is I'm just going to pull it out like this. I'm going to, there's cinnamon sugar on the counter, and I pull this out a bit and then twist it. So it's like a cute little mini twist. And then I have some end pieces that have a little less cinnamon sugar. And I did something the other day that my family really liked. I took these end pieces and I put all the extra cinnamon sugar on them. And then I just cut them into little bits. And Marius said he liked them more than cinnamon twists themselves. And he really likes cinnamon twists, so that's saying something.
I like cinnamon twists.
Do you like cinnamon twists? Do you like these ones better, or the...
I like the pie crust. They have more of a crunch.
Yeah, these are more crunchy, because they bake the same time right alongside the other ones too. So,
I like the pie ones because they have
oh, you like the pie crust?
flaky crunch.
Okay, so then we have this extra cinnamon sugar and a bit of flour. That's fine. On the counter, sometimes I end up with a lot more on the counter. I will tell you that. So then you can just, then I'm putting it on all the pie crust ones. But if you didn't have pie crust ones, then I would just sprinkle it on the other ones. There we go. 2 trays ready to go in the oven. So you want them to be just gently browned. They're not going to be super browned. And they're cooling here, and they look delicious, friends. I'm excited. All those crispy cinnamon sugar bits in the middle, those are sought after in this house. Are you hoping to eat one?
Yeah.
Yeah? Which one do you want?
This one.
That one?
I'll take that one also. No, no.
Mmm.
Yeah, you want